Strap yourselves in and hold on.
He stands for truth. He stands for justice. He stands for what's right. This is the Alex Jones Show. Call Alex now, toll free, at 877-590-5525. Now live from Austin, Texas, here's Alex Jones.
That's right, and syndicated across the nation from Los Angeles, California to Miami, Florida, from Chicago, Illinois to Austin, Texas. I am Alex Jones. Final hour, your calls, and a lot more straight ahead as we chronicle the out-of-control tyranny of the offshore global crime syndicate known as the New World Order. All right, Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, again, head of policy in the Treasury Department for Ronald Reagan, former Wall Street Journal editor, syndicated columnist, author of the new book. It's now out in the second edition, The Tyranny of Good Intentions. I interjected some of that last segment. So in this final segment, the 10 minutes we have with you, can you recap all those incredible points? And then you were getting to the punchline with Bolton, the Bush's ambassador to the UN, bragging. And I noticed Dr. Jerome Corsi, who I've interviewed, suddenly didn't want to attack Iran a few years ago. He said, oh, no, we're going to overthrow it with these great young people. And so, yeah, they're pretty public about this.
Yeah. Listen, let me just give some more information, then I'll try to...
Sure, go ahead.
All right. The London Telegraph reported on May 16th, 2007, that they had an editorial meeting with John Bolton, you know, the neocon warmonger in the Bush administration. And the Telegraph says that Bolton told them that a U.S. military attack on Iran would be a last option after attempts to foment a popular revolution had failed. So it's quite clear that this is the American hand. I think it's also clear that some of these young people are very sincere. They're secularized, they're westernized, they're trying to free themselves from the Islamic moral codes so they can be like teenagers and young people in the United States. And so, but they're being, they're serving the CIA's purpose. They're going to end up with a puppet regime like they had before when we installed the Shah. Now, I also have an email from one of these, hacker, spammer, knowledgeable type people, and he said that he was struck by the sudden appearance of 30,000 Iran-related tweets, in this Twitter thing they have now, that just suddenly jumped up, and he looked into it, and this is what he found, that each of these news sites had created their Twitter accounts on Saturday, June the 13th. Each had an extremely high number of tweets since creating their profiles. Iran election was their most popular keyword. They were posting in English. Half of them had the exact same profile photo, and they each had thousands of followers and only a few friends, and their friends were each other. So he looks into this. He narrows the spammers down to 3 of the most persistent and does further research. He finds, for example, that within hours of the 3 of these new Twitter, whatever they are, originating, that the Jerusalem Post has a story about them.
Oh.
They've been up merely a few hours, and already the Jerusalem Post is writing a story about them. So he concludes, from the way the whole thing was structured and all, that all of this Twitter is an Israeli operation designed to put out more disinformation and get young people all over the world behind the overthrow of the regime.
And we know the United States did that in 1953 with the British the exact same way, but by staging terror attacks and claiming the elected president, Mohammad Mossadegh, had attacked the Muslim extremists. So last time they manipulated the Muslim extremists into overthrowing Time magazine, poet, liberal, throwing Mossadegh out. This time they're going to use the liberals to throw the mullahs out.
That's the plan. And you see, And there are splits among the mullahs. For example, Ahmadinejad is reported by the lying Western media to be some kind of a right-wing guy that's in thick with the mullahs. Well, the fact of the matter, he has spent most of the recent presidential campaign campaigning against the corruption of the mullahs, particularly the one he beat in the last election, this Rafsanjani, who is Mousavi's main backer. So the mullahs, most of the mullahs are against Ahmadinejad because he has brought these corruption charges. See, people in the countryside think the mullahs have too much wealth and power, and their lifestyle reflects it.
Well, they do, yeah.
And that's what he campaigned on, and so, but we don't get that information. But this is an absolutely fact.
Well, I was going to say, the guy he's running against is back to the core of the founding and even tied into some Iran-Contra stuff, so he certainly has spook connections.
Right, and he was the prime minister for 8 years. Not the prime minister, the foreign minister.
When it was the most oppressive regime.
When it was the most oppressive. So the notion that he's a reformer, and you see, if the mullahs were afraid of him, they would have simply thrown him off the ballot because they decide who gets to run for
the committee of experts.
Yeah, the committee of experts, whatever they're called. I can't remember the group's name. But so I think that for some reason he was disaffected. They didn't know that. And he's either being manipulated by the CIA, or he's in with them. It's very hard to explain why a pillar of the mullah establishment would want to discredit the Iranian regime. But
regardless, CIA fingerprints are all over it. They admit they're running it. So here's the question. Is this, in your opinion, and I think it's an expert opinion, Dr. Roberts, is this an attempt to discredit them in the American people's eyes and the world's eyes so the world will accept a NATO/U.S.-Israeli strike on Iran?
Yes, that's it. Or it's to overthrow them. I mean,
so either way they win, and so all these dumb kids don't know they're about to bring in shock and awe in all their cities level. Yeah. They're not going to be idiots. Yeah.
Yeah. Those young, secularized, westernized protesters are idiots. They're dupes of the CIA, and they're either going to end up with an American puppet government, or they're going to have thousands of people killed and their beautiful country destroyed, and an American military strike. One or the other is going to happen.
And you just said it, very modernized, very beautiful country. The big bankers don't like that.
That's right. And not only that, you see, Iran is getting connected with Russia and China in that new organization.
Shanghai Cooperative.
And that then gives them essentially 60% of the world's oil reserves. And of course, we don't like that either. We don't want that. And
so, what do we do about this? Nothing. I guess Obama's going to blow Iran to bits, and all the liberals will say, "Oh, great, he's giving them freedom."
That's just like Iraq. 1 million dead, 4 million refugees, and we've given them freedom. The whole country's destroyed, just like we're doing in Afghanistan. And why the world puts up with this, I don't know. I think it's because we just give them money. So maybe if we have an economic collapse, the world will have a chance to go its own way and realize its own aspirations. But for now, it looks like American hegemony is prevailing.
But meanwhile, American hegemony is raping us, the American people, as well. They're eluding us. So it's
eluding us, yeah. As you said earlier, they're getting power over all the money, over everybody's business. It's just, it's an amazing thing. It's actually, as I said the other day, there's really no difference between the American citizens today and the fictional citizens in George Orwell's book, 1984.
Dr. Roberts, we appreciate your integrity, your research, the incredible amount of data you brought together, because I was trying to figure this out, and you really did a great job. Thank you for spending Father's Day with us. Get back to your family. God bless you.
God bless you, Alex.
There goes Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, the father of Reaganomics, a real conservative. We'll be right back with more. Stay with us.